The universe actively wants your life to fall apart. It is not a punishment. It is physics. You clean your room, and 3 days later it is covered in scattered clothes, discarded papers, and a fine layer of gray dust. You establish a perfect, highly optimized morning routine, and by Wednesday, you are hitting the snooze button, sleeping through the alarm, and waking up with a bitter taste of regret in your mouth. You look at the mess. You feel like a failure. You tell yourself that you lack discipline, that you are simply not cut out for success, but you are fighting a fundamental law of nature. The second law of thermodynamics states that everything in the universe trends toward disorder. Entropy, total, unavoidable, expanding chaos. Stars burn out, mountains crumble into sand, iron rusts, and yet, you sit there and blame your own character when the dishes pile up in the sink. Let us look at what is actually happening here. The concept is entropic decay in your daily, immediate environment. The physical metaphor is holding freezing water in your bare, cupped hands. No matter how tightly you squeeze your fingers together, no matter how much willpower you exert, the water finds microscopic cracks. It drips out, cold and inevitable, leaving your skin damp, numb, and empty. The biological reality is dopamine depletion and executive fatigue. Your brain requires a massive, continuous energetic cost to maintain order. When you constantly fight the natural, inevitable decay of your physical environment, your prefrontal cortex exhausts its limited supply of executive functioning power. You are not lazy. You are biologically drained by the sheer invisible friction of existing in a universe that actively wants to scatter your molecules to the wind. Consider your professional life. You finally clear your inbox to zero. You finish the massive, lingering project. You organize the digital files into neat, color-coded folders. For exactly 1 minute, there is a profound silence, peace. Then, a new notification chimes. Another email arrives, a new fire to put out. The concept here is the relentless influx of external demands accelerating your professional entropy. The physical metaphor is a heavy, rusted iron chain wrapped tightly around your ribs. Every new task, every unread message is another thick iron link added to the chain, pulling your posture down, closer and closer to the floor. The metal is cold against your skin, the weight is unyielding, and every single breath requires exponentially more effort than the last. The psychological reality is cognitive overload. Your working memory has a strict, unforgiving capacity. When unchecked tasks begin to pile up, when the entropy of your work life accelerates beyond your control, your brain desperately attempts to track every single open loop simultaneously. This triggers a low-grade chronic cortisol release into your bloodstream. You walk around with an ambient, suffocating sense of dread simply because your nervous system is interpreting a messy inbox as a literal physical threat to your survival. Now turn your attention to your relationships. You have a close friend, a confidant. You share a beautiful conversation and you swear with complete sincerity that you will stay in touch. You promise to call next week. But the week passes, then a month, then a season. Nobody did anything maliciously wrong, but a vast, silent chasm opens up between you. The concept is relational entropy. Left entirely alone, human connections naturally, quietly decay. The physical metaphor is an old wooden rope bridge suspended over a deep, fog-filled ravine. It looks sturdy from afar, but without constant, deliberate maintenance, the wood begins to rot. The iron nails rust. The ropes fray in the cold wind. One day, you decide to cross that bridge to reach the other person, and the damp planks splinter dangerously beneath your feet. The biological reality is the fading of neural pathways. Social bonds require regular, sustained bursts of oxytocin and mirror neuron synchronization to remain structurally sound in the brain. Without shared time, without shared physical presence, your brain efficiently prunes the emotional urgency of that connection. The cold distance you feel is not a lack of love. It is the literal biological rewiring of an underused circuit in your mind. Finally, Observe your own internal monologue. You start the day with a clear, singular intention. You are going to be focused. You are going to be calm. By noon, your mind is a raging storm of fragmented anxieties, cringeworthy past regrets, and loud, imaginary arguments with people who are not even in the room. The concept is psychological clutter. The physical metaphor is sitting completely alone in a small, perfectly empty room with pristine white walls. It is quiet. Suddenly, an invisible force starts throwing handfuls of wet mud at the walls. Dark, heavy, foul-smelling mud. It splatters, drips, and ruins the perfection. You run around the room, trying to catch the mud before it hits the paint. But there is too much of it. Soon, the room is completely dark. The psychological reality is the hyperactivity of the default mode network in your brain. When you are not actively, rigidly focused on a highly structured task, your brain naturally defaults to rumination. It scans the distant horizon for potential problems. It creates a complex disorder out of thin, empty air. Your own mind is a biological machine perfectly calibrated to generate anxiety and internal entropy to keep you vigilant. So, what do we do with this grim reality? Do we surrender entirely to the dust, the distance, and the relentless decay? Hustle culture, the great modern disease, tells you to fight harder. It screams at you through your screen to wake up earlier, to optimize your workflow with a dozen new tools, to build a system so rigid and perfect that entropy cannot possibly touch it. This is a profound lie. It is an arrogant, exhausting delusion. You cannot defeat a fundamental law of physics with a new productivity app or a 5-step morning routine. The more you frantically try to freeze your life in a state of permanent, flawless perfection, the faster and harder you will inevitably burn out. The unrushed solution is entirely different. We do not fight the tide. We seek to understand the tide. Imagine a small child playing on a vast, gray, lonely beach. The sky overhead is heavily overcast. The wind is biting and cold, and the dark ocean stretches out endlessly. The child kneels in the wet, packed sand, carefully and meticulously carving a magnificent sandcastle. They build smooth walls, tall towers, and deep defensive moats. It takes hours of patient, deliberate, quiet focus, and then the inevitable happens. The tide begins to come in. The heavy waves roll higher up the beach. The cold, foaming salt water gently licks the outer edges of the moat. Slowly, the outer walls crumble. The tall towers slump into shapeless mounds. The ocean reclaims the sand, erasing hours of labor in a matter of minutes. Notice the child. The child does not scream at the ocean in anger. The child does not call the ocean lazy, toxic, or malicious. The child understands the nature of the water. The child simply watches the tide recede, quietly picks up the plastic shovel, moves a few feet further up the beach, and begins to build again. Slower this time, more methodically, with a deeper appreciation for the transient nature of the structure. The joy, the purpose, is not in having a permanent, indestructible sandcastle. The joy is in the pure act of building, the noble, quiet fight against the chaos. Every single time you stand at the sink and wash a ceramic plate, every time you smooth the sheets to make your bed, every time you type out a message to check on an old friend, you are that child on the wet beach. You are intentionally creating a temporary, beautiful pocket of order in a universe defined by chaos. The concept is orderliness as a psychological anchor. The physical metaphor is lighting a single small wax candle in a massive, pitch-black, echoing cavern. The fragile little flame does not banish all the darkness. It cannot possibly reach the high, invisible ceiling or illuminate the distant, jagged walls. But it creates a small, warm, glowing sphere of light where you can safely sit and breathe. The psychological reality is the profound restoration of personal agency. When you impose deliberate order on just a small slice of your chaotic environment, your brain registers a successful interaction with the physical world. You trigger a healthy, deeply sustainable release of serotonin. You prove to your terrified nervous system that, while you absolutely cannot control the vast, decaying universe, you can control the immediate space right in front of you. This brings us down to your physical reality, right here, right now, today. Do not attempt to overhaul and reorganize your entire life this afternoon. Do not make a massive, intimidating list of 50 things you need to fix. That is the hustle culture trap. That is the exact path back to the heavy iron chain around your chest. We move slowly here. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Look around the room you are in right now. Scan your immediate environment. Find one single thing that is broken, messy, or completely out of place. Just one single thing. It might be a towering pile of unopened mail sitting on the kitchen counter. It might be a burned-out light bulb in the hallway that you have ignored for weeks. It might be a desk drawer that will not close properly because it is jammed with old receipts. Or perhaps it is just a dirty, stained coffee cup sitting right next to your computer keyboard. Fix it, clean it, put it away. Do it slowly, with complete and total attention. Your brain will immediately tell you that this is a pathetic waste of time. Your internal monologue will whisper, with utter contempt, that fixing one small thing will not change the massive, overwhelming disaster of your life. It will say the effort is pointless because the dust will return tomorrow and the cup will just get dirty again. Listen to that cynical voice. Acknowledge its presence. Understand that it is just your overworked amygdala desperately trying to conserve biological energy, and then completely ignore it. Wash the cup anyway. Stand at the sink and feel the temperature of the warm water running over your hands. Feel the smooth, hard surface of the ceramic beneath your fingers. Watch the soap bubbles form and pop. Marvel at the profound, quiet fact that you, a tiny, fragile biological organism, have the conscious power to reverse entropy. Even if it is only for a brief moment, even if it is only in this tiny, insignificant corner of the vast cosmos, you are imposing your will upon the chaos. The dark tide will always inevitably come in. The magnificent sandcastle will always wash away into the gray sea. The dust will always settle quietly on your shelves in the middle of the night. Do not let this physical reality break your spirit. Do not let it fill you with despair. Let it free you from the unbearable burden of perfection. You are not failing when your life gets messy. You are not broken. You are simply experiencing the fundamental nature of the universe. So keep building. Keep sweeping the floors. Keep watering the garden. Keep lighting that one small candle in the pitch-black room. There is a quiet, profound, and undeniable dignity in maintaining your little pocket of temporary order against the relentless void. Stay unrushed.